The stars above Earth had always been silent, a calm sea of light in the endless night. But tonight, something strange disturbed that silence. A faint glow shimmered in the sky, moving against the natural flow of the stars. It wasn't a comet. It wasn't a satellite. It was something alive, something watching. The people of Earth were unaware at first. Cities below kept glowing with their bright towers and crowded streets, while the oceans whispered their eternal waves. But in the high orbit, just beyond the reach of Earth's defense satellites, a fleet gathered. Alien ships, sleek, sharp, and cruel, hung like predators in the dark. They had come with one purpose: mockery. For centuries, these aliens, known across the stars as the Zytherians, had considered humans nothing more than weak animals. They studied Earth's wars, its poverty, its divided nations, and they laughed. To them, humanity was a species too busy fighting itself to ever stand as a threat. The Zytherian leader, a tall figure with pale silver skin and burning eyes, spoke from the command deck of his ship. His voice carried through the fleet, translated by machines into cold, perfect sound. "Look at them," he said, pointing toward Earth's blue surface. "They think themselves important. They dream of exploring space, yet they crawl like insects in their dirt. Tonight, we remind them of their place." The fleet responded with laughter, mocking, cruel laughter that echoed across their channels. But deep below, in the hidden chambers of Earth's Defense Council, alarms rang. General Marcus Hale, a man with stern eyes and a voice that carried the weight of command, stood before the holographic screen. Red lights pulsed across the map of Earth's orbit. Unknown signals. Unregistered ships. Thousands of them. "They've arrived," Marcus whispered, more to himself than to the room. Around him, officers shifted nervously, watching the growing swarm of alien vessels. The Council of Nations had always argued, always disagreed, but the sight of that fleet silenced every voice. For once, Earth stood united, not by choice, but by necessity. At first, the Zytherians did not fire. They wanted to humiliate. Their ships beamed images directly into human broadcasts, hijacking televisions, phones, even the screens in Times Square. Suddenly, across the world, every human saw the silver-skinned leader smiling cruelly. "Humans," he began, his voice slow, sharp, and heavy with disdain. "We come not to conquer, for there is no honor in conquering vermin. We come to show you your truth, that you are small, weak, and broken. You fight each other more than you fight for survival. You live in shadows of your own wars. You are unworthy of the stars." Billions watched in silence, fear crawling in their hearts. The alien laughed, his teeth sharp under the light of his command deck. "Tonight, we burn your pride. And when your ashes fall, the galaxy will remember, humanity is nothing." For a moment, Earth froze in terror. The aliens had not fired yet, but their words felt like weapons, cutting deep into every soul. Children cried. Soldiers clenched their fists. Leaders stared in disbelief. But far beneath the earth, hidden away from the world, something stirred. It was not known to many, not even to most governments, but deep in secret shipyards lay humanity's answer to fear. The Armada of Wrath. Ships that were old legends, designed in silence, forged not by politics but by unity. They were built from the scars of Earth's wars, carrying the strength of every nation. Their hulls were black steel, their engines roared like storms, and their weapons burned with a fire Earth had sworn never to use, unless the end had come. General Marcus turned to his officers. His eyes were calm, though his heart carried the weight of every human life. "They mock us," he said slowly. "They think we are weak. Let us remind them why humanity has never been slaves, never been broken. Prepare the Armada." The room went silent. Every officer knew what those words meant. The Armada of Wrath was not just a fleet. It was a promise. A shadow of human fury, waiting for the right time to awaken. Above Earth, the Zytherian leader gave his order. "Light the sky. Show them their insignificance." And as alien fire began to gather at the edges of the fleet, preparing to rain destruction upon the planet, A different light stirred in the darkness. Far from Earth, in hidden hangars carved into asteroids, great ships began to rise. One by one, their engines ignited, glowing brighter than stars. Their names carried history, names whispered in human wars, names carved into banners of victory. The first transmission from Earth to the Zytherian fleet was short, cold, and sharp. "This is humanity. You wanted to see us. Now watch closely." And then, the skies began to burn. The first beams of alien fire streaked through space, red and furious, cutting across the heavens like lightning. They slammed into Earth's orbital defenses, shredding satellites and burning through stations with terrifying ease. Explosions lit the night sky, visible even from the ground. People on Earth looked up in horror as streaks of fire rained down, thinking the end had come. The Zytherians laughed. Their leader raised his hand, watching the flames spread. "See how they fall," he sneered. "This is their worth. Let them know despair." But before the second wave could be unleashed, the darkness beyond the Zytherian fleet stirred. Silent, massive shadows emerged from the void. Engines hummed, glowing like suns as steel leviathans stepped forward. The Armada of Wrath had awakened. At first, the Zytherians thought it was a trick. The black ships looked ancient, their hulls scarred, their design strange compared to the sleek alien craft. But when the first Earthship activated its weapons, the laughter ended. The lead vessel, named Iron Vengeance, fired a beam so bright it split the dark like dawn. The Zytherian destroyer caught in its path didn't just shatter, it vanished in a blaze of molten fragments. Silence fell across the alien channels. General Marcus's voice carried through the comms, steady as stone. "Zytherians. You mock us. You think us weak. But remember this, humanity is at its strongest when pushed to the edge. You wanted to see our wrath. Now face it." The Armada surged forward. Each ship carried names from Earth's greatest struggles: Red October, Black Phoenix, Thunderchild, Independence, Wrath of Sparta. They were legends reborn, carrying not just steel and fire but the will of billions. The Zytherians fired desperately, their weapons carving scars into the black ships, but humanity's vessels did not fall. From the ground, people watched as the night sky transformed into a battlefield. Cities trembled as the flashes of explosions lit up the heavens. Children who had cried moments ago now pointed upward in awe. Soldiers on Earth raised their fists, shouting at the skies. Hope, fierce and burning, returned. Inside the Zytherian flagship, the leader clenched his jaw. "Impossible," he hissed. "They are insects. They cannot fight like this." But still, the Armada pressed forward. Human ships moved with strange precision, as if they had trained for this day all their lives. They did not scatter. They did not retreat. They struck with fury. Every blast was vengeance, every maneuver a roar of defiance. General Marcus stood at the command deck of Iron Vengeance, his eyes locked on the alien fleet. Around him, officers shouted reports, but his voice remained calm. "Push through their center. Break their pride. Remind them who we are." The Zytherians countered with their numbers. Their ships swarmed like locusts, dozens attacking each human vessel. Explosions shook the void, but the Armada endured. Black Phoenix twisted through the storm, its cannons spitting fire in all directions. Wrath of Sparta rammed through a Zytherian cruiser, cutting it in half with sheer force. For the first time, the aliens knew fear. On Earth, people filled the streets, watching the skies as if history itself was being written above them. The broadcasts that had once shown Zytherian mockery now carried a different image: human ships burning with unstoppable light, carving through the enemy. Around the world, cheers erupted. Hope had turned into pride. But the battle was far from over. The Zytherian leader slammed his hand against the command panel. His calm mask shattered into rage. "Deploy the Titans," he ordered. From the depths of the alien fleet, enormous ships began to move. They were larger than mountains, their hulls glowing with ancient power. Unlike the smaller cruisers, these Titans were built to destroy entire worlds. General Marcus watched as the Titans emerged, each one casting a shadow across the battlefield. His officers turned to him, fear flashing in their eyes. "Sir, our weapons may not be enough." Marcus raised a hand. "Do not speak of what we cannot do. Humanity has never survived by surrendering. We fight. We endure. And we win." The Armada of Wrath tightened formation. Every ship aligned, every engine burning hotter than ever. Against the incoming Titans, they looked small, fragile, outnumbered. But humanity's greatest strength had never been size. It had always been heart. The Zytherian leader smirked as his Titans prepared to fire. "Let them try," he whispered. "Their wrath ends here." Yet on the Iron Vengeance, Marcus gave the order that would echo through history. "All ships, unleash everything." The Armada roared, engines screaming, weapons igniting, as humanity prepared to face monsters that even the stars feared. And as the first Titan began to charge its world-killing beam, Earth held its breath. The Titan ships moved like dark mountains across the stars, their massive frames blotting out starlight. Each one glowed with terrible energy, weapons designed not just to kill but to erase. The Zytherians had mocked humanity before, but now they showed their true strength. On Earth, billions watched the broadcasts with wide eyes. People who had just begun to cheer now felt silence creeping back into their hearts. The Titans were unlike anything they had ever seen. If the smaller alien cruisers had destroyed orbital defenses in minutes, what could these giants do? General Marcus stood tall on the bridge of Iron Vengeance, his hands resting on the steel console. His crew whispered about the Titans, their voices shaking, but Marcus's eyes never wavered. "They want to scare us," he said calmly. "They want us to break before they fire. But we are human. Fear has never stopped us. Prepare the charge." The Armada of Wrath tightened formation. Each ship rotated into place, old battle codes flashing between them. These codes were relics, drawn from humanity's blood-soaked history. They were signals from wars long past, Earth's darkest and brightest moments. The Zytherian leader smiled coldly as his Titans aligned. "Let us show these insects how real power looks." The first Titan fired. A colossal beam of violet light lanced through space, tearing through everything in its path. Stars seemed to flicker under its might. The human ship Red October took the hit, its hull screaming as flames ripped across it. For a heartbeat, it looked like the ship would break apart. But the old warship roared back. Its shields cracked, its armor burned, but its cannons fired in defiance, blasting into the Titan's armor. The blast did not destroy the giant, but it left a mark, proof that humanity would not fall silent. Inside Red October, Captain Yara bled from her forehead but refused to sit. She shouted through the smoke, "Fire again! If we are to die, we will die screaming in their faces." The ship obeyed, its cannons unleashing another wave of fire. The Titan shuddered, and for the first time, a Zytherian giant faltered. The Armada pressed the attack. Black Phoenix darted through the storm, dropping burning mines across the Titan's flank. Explosions rippled against the giant's shields. Wrath of Sparta charged forward, slamming missiles into the enemy's core. General Marcus gave no pause. His voice was steady thunder over the comms. "Do not fear their size. Remember, Titans bleed too." The battlefield turned into chaos. Alien cruisers swarmed around their massive ships, trying to shield them. Human vessels carved through the swarm, even as flames tore at their hulls. One by one, Zytherian destroyers fell, shattered into fragments that spun like glowing debris across the void. But the Titans struck back. Another beam lanced out, cutting across Thunderchild. The ship twisted violently, alarms screaming, its side burning away. Inside, men and women cried out, but still they fired until their last breath. Their final shot broke the wing of a Zytherian cruiser before the Thunderchild exploded into light. On Earth, people saw the explosion. They screamed, they wept, but they also cheered. Because even in death, Thunderchild had struck back. Humanity was not kneeling. Humanity was biting back with everything it had. The Zytherian leader slammed his fist against the armrest of his throne. "This is madness," he shouted. "They should be broken. They should be begging. Why do they not bow?" His second-in-command lowered his voice. "Because, Supreme Commander, they are human." That single word seemed to cut through the Zytherian's rage like a knife. He turned toward the burning battle, his teeth grinding. On Iron Vengeance, Marcus watched the Titans regroup. Their weapons glowed again, brighter, charging for another devastating strike. He knew one thing: if those beams hit Earth, millions would die. He leaned forward, his voice like stone. "All ships, focus fire. Bring the first Titan down." The Armada moved as one. Every cannon, every missile, every beam of energy unleashed in a single storm. Space lit up brighter than daylight. The Titan roared as shields cracked, armor melted, and engines screamed. And then, with a thunderous explosion, the first Titan fell. Its massive body broke apart, spinning slowly into the void, fire trailing from its shattered hull. For a moment, silence filled the battlefield. Humanity had done the impossible. On Earth, the cheers shook cities. Strangers hugged in the streets. Soldiers lifted their rifles high. Children screamed in joy. Against the impossible, humanity had struck down a god of war. General Marcus did not smile. His face was grim. His eyes looked toward the other Titans, still alive, still preparing. "This is only the beginning," he said. And above, the remaining Titans turned, their weapons glowing hotter, their rage burning brighter. The true storm was yet to come. The wreck of the first Titan drifted in silence, its broken pieces glowing like falling stars. Across Earth, cheers still echoed, but in the darkness of space, there was no time to celebrate. 3 more Titans remained, their hulking forms turning slowly toward the Armada of Wrath. On the Zytherian flagship, the Supreme Commander's eyes burned with fury. "They dare destroy one of our Titans? They will pay with fire. Bring all Titans to full power." The massive ships obeyed, their cores glowing with energy. Shadows stretched across the battlefield as if the giants themselves were swallowing the light. Their weapons began to charge, power enough to shatter continents. General Marcus stood at the center of Iron Vengeance, his hands gripping the console. His crew waited for his command, fear written on their faces. Marcus's voice came calm and steady, a rock against the storm. "They believe fear will break us. They believe numbers will crush us. But humanity has faced giants before. And we have always endured." The Armada shifted into attack formation. The remaining ships closed ranks, battered but unbroken. Smoke drifted inside some vessels, flames roared in others, yet none withdrew. Each ship carried not just soldiers, but the pride of Earth. The Titans fired. 3 colossal beams ripped across the battlefield, tearing through space itself. Wrath of Sparta caught one blast along its side. The great ship shuddered, metal screaming as half its armor melted away. Alarms filled the deck, sparks rained from the ceiling, but Captain Dmitri roared through the smoke. "Keep firing. We are Sparta, we do not kneel." And the ship fired back, its missiles slamming into the Titan's hull with defiant fury. The second beam grazed Black Phoenix, shredding its shields and leaving fire trailing across its engines. The crew screamed as systems collapsed, but the ship spun wildly, turning its fall into an attack run. It unleashed its payload of cluster mines before vanishing into a burning explosion. The mines detonated along the Titan's side, tearing holes through its armor. The crew of Black Phoenix had given their last breath, but their sacrifice left a wound in the enemy giant. On Earth, people wept as they saw the Phoenix die, but their grief turned into a roar of pride. Humanity was showing the galaxy something no alien could understand: the will to fight even in death. Marcus's eyes burned with fire as he saw the Phoenix's sacrifice. "They think we are insects. Show them what insects can do when they swarm. All ships, strike their wounds." The Armada surged forward. Cannons blazed, missiles roared, beams cut through the dark. The damaged Titan shuddered under the storm, its shields flickering, its body breaking piece by piece. Finally, with a thunderous explosion, the second Titan collapsed into fire. The battlefield trembled. 2 Titans down. Humanity had done the unthinkable again. But victory came with blood. Red October drifted without power, its hull torn and engines silent. Wrath of Sparta burned, fighting to keep itself alive. More than half the Armada was gone or crippled, yet their eyes still burned with defiance. The Zytherian commander's laughter cracked the silence of his ship. It was not joyful, but broken and bitter. "You fools," he spat. "Do you think killing Titans makes you strong? You are ants pushing against a mountain. And now, the mountain will crush you." He raised his hand, and the last 2 Titans began to charge their world-killing beams. Their glow lit the battlefield like twin suns, growing brighter, hotter, unstoppable. Marcus's officers turned to him, their voices shaking. "Sir, we don't have enough firepower left. Even if we focus everything, we can't break both before they fire." Marcus's jaw tightened. His silence stretched heavy across the bridge. Every soldier watched him, waiting, hearts pounding. Then he spoke. "Then we do not break both. We break one. And we trust humanity to survive the other." The officers stared, stunned, but his eyes were steel. "Send every ship, every missile, every cannon. Focus on the left Titan. If we can destroy it before it fires, Earth may withstand the second." The Armada obeyed. Broken ships reignited engines, damaged weapons sputtered back to life. Every surviving vessel turned its fury on the left Titan. The Zytherians laughed at the desperation. But as the human storm struck, laughter turned to silence. The Titan groaned under the endless fire. Its armor cracked, its shields failed, its weapons sputtered. The Zytherian commander rose from his throne in disbelief. "No. Impossible. Not again." With one final strike from Wrath of Sparta, its last missile piercing deep into the Titan's core, the giant erupted in a violent explosion. Pieces scattered across the void, burning like meteors as they drifted toward the stars. 3 Titans had fallen. Humanity had carved gods into corpses. But in the silence that followed, the last Titan finished its charge. Its weapon glowed brighter than a star. Its aim lowered, straight at Earth. On the bridge of iron vengeance, Marcus's face hardened. His hand curled into a fist. "They're going to fire on the planet." Billions of humans looked upward, frozen in terror, as the glow of death built in the sky. And then, the Titan released its beam. The sky above Earth lit up like the birth of a new sun. The last Titan's weapon fired, a beam of pure destruction racing downward. Oceans reflected its terrible light. Cities froze in silence as people watched death falling from the heavens. Children cried. Parents held them close. Soldiers raised their weapons though they knew they could not stop what was coming. Across the world, billions whispered their last prayers. But in orbit, the Armada of Wrath refused to bow. General Marcus's voice thundered across the comms. "Not while we still breathe. Divert everything, shields, power, engines, everything to block that beam." The battered human ships surged together, forming a desperate wall between Earth and the Titan. Wrath of Sparta, broken and burning, drifted forward to the front line. Its captain's voice echoed through the comms, cracked but fierce. "If the gods demand blood, then let it be ours." The Titan's beam struck. It was like the fist of a star crashing into their shields. Energy screamed across the void. One by one, human ships shattered, exploding into fragments of fire. Wrath of Sparta was the first to fall, torn apart in a blinding flash. Red October, powerless but still defiant, drifted into the path until it too vanished in the storm. On Earth, people saw the explosions. They wept, they screamed, but they also stood taller. These ships were not dying in vain. They were holding the line. The beam began to weaken, fragments scattering into the void instead of reaching Earth. The Armada had turned their bodies into shields, and for a moment, humanity lived. Inside Iron Vengeance, alarms blared. Systems failed. Flames tore through the decks. Officers shouted, injured but unbroken. Marcus stood firm, staring at the burning Titan. His voice cut through the chaos. Armada, you've done your part. Now it is time for vengeance. The Titan was not finished. Its core glowed again, preparing to fire once more. The Zytherian commander leaned forward, rage twisting his silver face. They cannot stop us twice. Fire again. Burn their world. But this time, Marcus had a different plan. Prepare the Nova Drive, he ordered. The officers froze. The Nova Drive was the last secret of the Armada, a weapon never meant to be used except in final desperation. It was not just a cannon. It was a star trapped inside steel. To fire it meant to unleash destruction so great that even the user might not survive. Sir, one officer whispered, his face pale. If we use it, we won't come back. Marcus's eyes hardened. If humanity must lose me to survive, then so be it. Prepare the drive. The Iron Vengeance shifted position, its black hull glowing with power it had never shown before. Energy built along its sides, humming like the roar of an angry sun. Across the battlefield, the surviving human ships cleared the path, giving their commander one last chance. The Titan noticed the shift. Its sensors screamed. The Zytherian commander's eyes widened. No, that cannot be. But it was too late. The Iron Vengeance unleashed the Nova Drive. A beam brighter than creation tore through the void. It cut across space like a sword of gods. The Titan's shields lasted less than a second. Its armor peeled away, its core shattered, its body burning in fire so violent that even the stars seemed to tremble. The last Titan exploded. The shockwave rippled across the battlefield, scattering debris, tearing alien cruisers into fragments. The Zytherian fleet broke into chaos, their commanders screaming in disbelief. One by one, the alien ships turned and fled, abandoning the battle they had once thought was a game. Humanity had stood against gods. Humanity had won. On Earth, silence fell for a long heartbeat. The sky no longer burned. The threat was gone. Then, slowly, cheers began to rise. Streets filled with screams of victory. Bells rang, guns fired in celebration, and strangers embraced. For the first time in history, every human on Earth celebrated the same victory together. But in orbit, the mood was not so simple. The Iron Vengeance drifted, its hull torn, its systems failing. Smoke filled its bridge. Marcus stood tall, though blood ran down his forehead. His crew looked at him, waiting for orders. He spoke softly, his voice calm. Send word to Earth. Tell them, they are free. The transmission carried to the planet below. Billions heard it. Billions wept. The name Marcus Hale became legend at that very moment. The Zytherian commander watched from afar, his face pale with shock. He had mocked humanity, laughed at them, promised their end. Now his fleet was broken, his titans destroyed, and his pride shattered. This cannot be, he whispered. They were supposed to be weak. But humanity had shown the galaxy its true nature, wrath that even titans could not silence. On the broken bridge of Iron Vengeance, Marcus closed his eyes. Around him, sparks fell like dying stars. His voice was a whisper, but it carried the weight of all humanity. We are not insects. We are human. And with that, the ship's lights flickered, its engines silent, drifting like a dark monument among the stars. The battlefield above Earth was silent now. Where once fire and screams filled the skies, only drifting wreckage remained. The shattered bodies of titans floated in the void, their hulks glowing faintly as they burned out like dying stars. Among the debris, human ships, scarred, battered, and broken, struggled to hold formation. The Iron Vengeance, the pride of the Armada, drifted lifeless. Its once roaring engines were cold. Its bridge was dark. To those who saw it from afar, it looked like a tomb, a black monument to sacrifice. On Earth, celebrations filled every city. People danced in the streets, waved flags, sang songs of triumph. Children pointed to the night sky, whispering that humanity had defeated gods. For the first time in centuries, Earth was not divided. Every nation, every people, stood together in pride. But among the cheers, whispers of grief spread. The Nova Drive had saved Earth, but no one knew if General Marcus or his crew had survived. Many feared the answer. High above, the surviving human ships broadcast a message to Earth. A young officer's voice, cracked with exhaustion, carried across every screen. The Titans have fallen. The Zytherians flee. Humanity has won. But the Armada of Wrath paid the price. In the shadows of space, the Zytherian fleet retreated. Their cruisers limped away, engines broken, pride shattered. On the flagship, the Supreme Commander stood in silence, his silver face twisted with rage and disbelief. "They were supposed to be nothing," he whispered. His hands trembled as he slammed them against the console. "They were supposed to beg for mercy. Instead, they made me bleed." His officers lowered their eyes. None dared speak. The word human now carried a weight that even the Zytherians did not understand. It was no longer a word for weakness. It was a word for defiance. A word for fire. "Prepare the council," the commander said finally, his voice low and venomous. "The galaxy must hear of this. Humanity will pay for their insult." Back on Earth, hope burned brighter than ever, but leaders understood the truth. This was not the end. This was the beginning of something greater. Humanity had revealed its strength, and the galaxy had witnessed it. In secret chambers of the Earth Council, world leaders met through holographic screens. The room was filled with tired faces, men and women who had aged years in just a single night. "They will not forgive us," one leader said. "The Zytherians will return, and next time, they will not come with mockery. They will come with vengeance." Another voice spoke, sharp but steady. "Then let them come. Tonight we proved something no one believed, that humanity is not prey. We can fight. We can win. The Armada has given us more than victory. They have given us time." Across the galaxy, alien eyes watched. Some species had laughed with the Zytherians, believing Earth to be fragile. But when they saw Titans fall, their laughter died. Whispers spread across alien councils. "If humans can kill gods," one alien leader murmured, "then what else can they do?" In quiet corners of space, resistance groups, species enslaved by Zytherian rule, raised their heads with hope. For the first time in generations, they saw a light in the dark. They whispered a name: humanity. The new warriors of the stars. Meanwhile, engineers and survivors of the Armada gathered the wreckage of their ships. They pulled bodies from the void, saluted their fallen, and swore oaths of vengeance. The names of every ship lost, Thunderchild, Black Phoenix, Red October, Wrath of Sparta, were carved into memory. They would not be forgotten. And then, something unexpected happened. Deep in the wreckage of Iron Vengeance, a faint signal pulsed. A weak distress beacon, flickering like a dying heartbeat. At first, it was dismissed as debris. But then, the signal grew stronger, steady, deliberate. On Earth, when the message reached command, silence fell. The beacon code was ancient, known only to the Armada. 3 simple words flashed across the screen. "We still fight." The room erupted. Engineers rushed to trace the signal. Survivors wept, soldiers shouted. It was impossible, but hope flared again. Could Marcus still be alive? Could the Iron Vengeance still breathe in the void? The people of Earth looked to the sky once more, their victory now joined by a question that burned brighter than fear. Was the legend still alive? And in the darkness, far from any eye, the broken ship stirred. Its engines were dead, its hull scarred, but deep inside, a single chamber still glowed. A heartbeat of humanity, refusing to die. The galaxy thought the battle was over. But for humanity, it had only just begun. The wreckage of the Zytherian Titans still drifted in orbit, silent reminders that gods could bleed. Earth celebrated below, but in the cold darkness above, a new storm was already building. The The Zytherians had fled, but they had not forgotten. In their hidden citadels, the Supreme Commander stood before the High Council, his silver face pale with shame. "They have mocked us," he spat, voice trembling with fury. "They destroyed our titans. They killed our pride. The humans must be erased before the galaxy sees them as a beacon." But even among the council, whispers spread. Some feared humanity. Some admired them. And others wondered, if insects could slay gods, then perhaps the Zytherians were not as invincible as they believed. Meanwhile, on Earth, engineers worked day and night, scanning the void for the faint beacon still pulsing from the Iron Vengeance. Its code was clear: we still fight. Search vessels moved through the wreckage, their lights cutting across broken steel and drifting bodies. At last, they found it, the dark hull of the great ship, cracked and lifeless but not silent. Inside, deep in the command deck, survivors had sealed themselves in. General Marcus was among them. Wounded, pale, but alive. When rescuers breached the chamber, Marcus's eyes opened slowly. His first words were not of relief, nor pain, but of duty. "Status, the fleet. The Titan. Did we win?" The rescuers wept as they nodded. Marcus allowed himself the faintest smile. "Good. Then humanity still stands." The news spread across Earth like wildfire. The man who had led them against Titans still lived. The name Marcus Hale became legend, not just of Earth, but of the galaxy. But Marcus did not rest. As soon as he could stand, he demanded to see the Council of Earth. His body was weak, his voice ragged, but his eyes burned with fire. "You cheer now," he told them. "But listen well. The Zytherians will not forget. They will not forgive. What we did was not the end. It was the spark. The galaxy has seen our strength. Some will fear us. Some will follow us. And some will try to destroy us. We must be ready." His words were not ignored. For the first time in history, Earth's leaders put aside their divisions. Nations poured their resources into rebuilding the Armada, not in secret this time, but proudly, under one flag: humanity. Across the stars, whispers grew louder. Enslaved species sent secret messages to Earth, begging for aid. Resistance groups took the human victory as a signal. In hidden outposts, rebels raised banners painted with the symbol of a burning star, the mark of humanity's wrath. The Zytherians tried to crush these sparks, but the galaxy had changed. Their fear had been broken. And then, the moment came. Months after the battle, as Earth rebuilt and the Armada grew stronger, a message was intercepted. Zytherian fleets were gathering again. Larger, stronger, angrier than before. Their target, Earth. The news reached Marcus in the rebuilt war room. He looked at the holographic map, at the swarm of ships moving toward his home. His officers waited for fear, for hesitation. Instead, Marcus straightened, his voice steady as steel. "Then let them come. We defeated their titans. We can defeat their armies. They thought humanity was nothing, but now, the galaxy knows who we are." His words were broadcast across Earth. Soldiers raised their fists. Civilians shouted in the streets. Across colonies and outposts, voices joined as one. Humanity was no longer afraid. Humanity was ready. When the Zytherian fleet arrived, expecting an easy second war, they found something they had not imagined. The skies above Earth lit up again, but this time, not with fire and despair. With power. With unity. With ships. More than before. The new Armada of Wrath stretched across the heavens, rebuilt and reforged, stronger than ever. The Zytherians hesitated. For the first time, they did not see prey. They saw an equal. They saw warriors. They saw humanity. General Marcus stood at the command deck of the restored Iron Vengeance, its scars reforged into steel. His voice carried across every ship, every soldier, every fighter pilot. "Today, the Zytherians come to erase us. But hear me, all of you, humanity does not erase. Humanity endures. Humanity rises. And tonight, we fight not just for Earth, but for the galaxy that watched us fall and rise again. Let them see what it means to be human. The Armada roared, engines blazing, weapons primed. The battle began again, fiercer than before. But no matter how many ships the Zytherians brought, no matter how their weapons burned, the humans did not break. Their wrath was endless, their unity unshakable. And as the war spread across the stars, one truth echoed louder than all else. The Zytherians had mocked humanity. But humanity had answered, with fire, with fury, with defiance. And in the dark sea of the galaxy, a new legend was born. The species that burned gods. The species that could not be broken. The species called human.